Good afternoon. Welcome back, everybody, to the newest episode of the New York Only podcast. We are back after a holiday break, and I couldn't think of any better person to start the new year having a conversation with than my good friend Bob Pedretti from Anytime Home Inspections. How are you today, Bob?
Very good, Matthew. Very good. I hope everybody had a safe and healthy and prosperous holiday and a prosperous new year.
I appreciate that. I hope the same for everybody. And I also like to let people know that it's a new year. So even if you didn't, we still have like 361 days to make that happen.
Boy, we're not counting down the days too early, are we, Matthew?
You know, I'm not going to go there, but I know some people who like to the day know what percent of the year is left. I'm somewhere in between being conscious of that, but also trying to balance that I want to enjoy my time and not just watch the days tick by.
There you go. There you go. I'm with you on that one.
So, Bob, do me a favor, tell everyone a little bit about yourself. How long have you been a home inspector?
Okay, I'm Bob from Anytime Home Inspections. I've been doing home inspections for approximately 4 years, New York State license, because if you're not licensed in New York State, you cannot do a home inspection. For those of you who don't know, a home inspection is a non-invasive inspection of the components and systems of a home or business. We don't go opening up walls to see anything. We don't punch holes like you may have seen on TV. No, we don't do any of that. But what we do is look for all or as many imperfections and defects that are in your home or the home you are looking to purchase before you make an offer. And what that would include is most people are concerned about the four majors: your roofing system, the plumbing system, the heating system, and your electrical panel. So those are the things that we pay more attention to because that's what more people are interested in. Those are the big ticket items.
I was just going to say those are the four main ones, because if you
Yes.
buy a house with any type of defect in any of those four, they're probably the ones that are going to cost you the most money.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Also, what I let agents know that you can offer your customers, the people you're selling the home for what they call a pre-listing inspection or a move-in ready inspection. And what that is, homeowner themselves pay for a home inspection. Come in, do your home inspection for you. We can point out the major areas that are going to need attention. So when you go to list your home, their home inspector or whomever is going to say, the roof looks like it's been leaking. The furnace system is 28 years old. My HVAC system is old. So if you do a pre-listing inspection, you will know ahead of time, should you invest that type of money replacing it before you sell, or you know that you're expecting that their home inspector is going to pick it out and say, we need to make an adjustment here.
So you hit on a lot of really good points that I want to jump in on. The first, I'm going to try to go in order of how I wrote these down, but the first that I love that you said, because a lot of people don't go there or explain the reason, is the non-invasive portion, right? I'm sure you've been on a home inspection. I know I have, where the buyers will almost or can get a little upset that they feel you're not like digging enough into the house to find things that are wrong.
Yes.
But there's a clear, obvious reason you and I know for why you can't do that, right?
Yes, yes. I've had instances where people had carpeting over a wooden floor, and the buyers are like, well, aren't you going to pull up the carpeting? I am not allowed to do that. That's invading the customer's home, and I'm not allowed to do that. I can make recommendations, point out in my report what I see, areas that may have been concerned that may have been covered up with carpeting or a big piece of furniture. And I can point that out and say, something you may want to take a look at if you feel like pulling the carpeting up, if you can ask the homeowner if they want to move that big piece of furniture, because there may be an issue there.
Right, much like you can take the face off an electrical panel because you can replace it so that the home is in the exact same condition that you found it.
Exactly, exactly. I can't move the armoire in the bedroom up against the bathroom wall, and the bathroom wall feels a little spongy where there may have been a leak or something. I can't move the armoire out of the way to inspect the floor. So,
Right. I think that's really an important point for anyone listening who's a home buyer, especially first-time home buyers, to realize is you do not own the home. The inspection is a courtesy. So any damage that is done to that home during the home inspection process becomes the home inspector's liability.
Correct. Correct. So, like I said, it's non-invasive. Again, I don't tear out walls to see if there's mold or termites behind it, but you could tell a good home inspector, and this goes for any home inspector, you can tell by your experience of where the damage areas are most likely going to be, where they usually are, which is where plumbing pipes are, toilet bowl fixtures, shower areas. Those are your main plumbing issues, especially in an older house. Especially in an older house where the house is 50, 60 years old, so has the original plumbing in there. Good chance you may have an issue behind the wall. But a good home inspector will be able to mark that down, take his pictures. He can also do an infrared inspection where he basically can see behind the sheetrock if there's damage behind the sheetrock, whether it be moisture, bad insulation, things like that. And that would all be in your home inspection report. And I recommend that to a lot of people. That usually clients would like, just give me a basic home inspection. There are other services like a thermal inspection. Again, when we take the camera out, we look for where the air is leaving around the windows, the doors, the HVAC duct system. Do you have leakage there? Anywhere you have air leakage, it's costing you money. It costs you money.
So those are such great points. And I want to shine light on something else, not to knock the real estate agent and broker profession, but being a broker, I don't want to knock myself, but you mentioned home inspectors in the state of New York are licensed. Yes. Could you talk a little bit about the licensing requirements? Because I think sometimes people just think, oh, you got your license. Like a real estate agent license is kind of a joke. You take a 75-hour course online, you go and take a 100-question test. You can pretty much be real estate licensed as an agent within like 48 hours if everything aligns. What are the requirements for a home inspector?
Okay, you have to go to a New York State, again, talking New York State, accredited course, which consists of 5 modules. The courses are 80 hours a module. So it's not something you just say, well, like you just said, Matt, well, you can get your license in 3 days and you could be a real estate agent. Home inspection, you cannot do that because you need to take the courses. New York State has to get a copy of the courses that you took and that you passed them all. And then you have to have the last course you take is field inspections with the teacher, who's also a certified New York State home inspector. And there's continuing education. You have to have courses taken every 2 years, again, by a accredited school. And so New York State gets that information so you can hold your license.
I always find that just so kind of mind blowing that I had our good friend Jim Weir as an appraiser on the podcast a few weeks back, and the appraiser requirements I think are even more stringent than a home inspector.
Yes,
Yet the real estate agents have the easiest part in the transaction.
yes, yes, they do. It's if you really love what you're doing, and I love being a home inspector. I have 20 years in the construction end of it, so I know a lot of what I'm looking for and where to look, but I enjoy it. I enjoy what I'm doing. I love going in, and I've had real estate agents say, oh, he's out nitpicking this, nitpicking that. I'm here to give the client a report on the condition of the home. They want to know what's wrong with it. The real estate agent didn't do anything to the home. Um, the home inspector didn't do anything to the home. I'm just there to report on the condition of the home. Again, homeowners may not realize that, oh, I should have my roof replaced every 20 years. Some don't know that. Well, I have a roof on the house. It's not leaking. It's good. Roof is 30 years old. It's going to leak soon. So it's not that I go to point things out to a real estate agent to cost them a sale. I am there I work for the client. I give the client the report of my findings. Is every home inspector going to find everything wrong with the house? No, because you can't. You are not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But a good home inspector, whoever they may be, will find and look at, again, the four majors of a home.
Got it. And you hit on something that I've heard myself, out with buyers when I'll bring you in for one of my buyers' home inspections. There's this myth that a buyer's agent will recommend a home inspector who's just going to pass the house. When in reality, one, I want you to talk to your end about what happens if you're negligent and like why you would never do something like that. Because I know I say all the time, I don't want to sell someone a house where the home inspector is just telling them it's great and it's not, because my business is built on reputation and referrals. If I cover something up to get you to buy a house, I'm never going to get any business from you or anyone ever again. And it's just unethical.
There are, I've known home inspectors that will, let's just say, give the real estate agent what they want. I do not work that way. It's a code of ethics. I am proud of what I do. And I have a client who hires me because the real estate agent doesn't hire me. The homeowner's not hiring me. The client who's purchasing the home is hiring me to do a job. That's what I get paid for. I go in, I do the job. It's not whether I like the house, I don't like the house. You get a lot of clients that will say, would you buy the house? I never answer that question because the house is not my house. My house is my house. That's why I bought my house. I go in there and I report my findings. And you're going to get good and bad in every home inspection report. Even on brand new homes, there are problems. People realize, oh, it's a brand new home. I don't need a home inspection. You should get one anyway. You should get one because there are issues with brand new homes also.
Yeah, not every developer, contractor, builder is doing the highest quality job. There are corners cut, unfortunately. And
yes, there used to be an old saying in the trade, it's contractor grade. And being somebody who's on the home improvement end, contractor grade means it's the cheapest thing that you can put on a home. It's the cheapest finishing, the cheapest this, the cheapest that. I will say most reputable builders take pride and quality in their work. Again, Matthew, it's like you said, my business is based on referrals from former clients real estate agents. That's how I get my business. Builders do the same thing. If they're building homes or they're adding decks or pools or whatever, they want good referrals. They want that 5 stars on the Google page, because now it's not like years ago. Now everybody's, well, what's their reviews on Google? That's what people look for. Get bad reviews, your business goes down. And, and again, I'm sure you've experienced it. I hope you haven't. You get somebody who's just not happy with you, and they leave you a bad review because, well, Matthew, they don't like your mustache. Okay, they don't like your mustache, Matthew. You're going to get that, but it's okay.
Right. You didn't find the one tiny wet spot in the corner in the basement. You didn't get their offer accepted because they refused to increase the bid, even when you advised them to increase the bid. You're almost a lot of times in a no-win situation. You're going out there, you're doing the job to the best of your ability, the way you would do it for your friends and family. And you've just got to hope that, most people see that you really do take what you do seriously and you're looking out for their best interest.
Yes, it's again, I'm one of those, and I've seen you in action, so I can vouch for you. You need to take pride in your work. Anybody, you never want to speak down to somebody. If you're in a bad mood and I'm trying to inspect the house, I better go walk around the corner and change my attitude. You know what I'm saying? Because again, the client is paying me to do a job. And my job is inspect the home, document all my findings. I'm a quote unquote photographer, home inspector. I will take anywhere between 280 and 340 pictures of a home that I'm inspecting. You may only see 40 of them in the report. You see the ones that need attention. I could take a picture of a doorway. That's just to show where I am at the time of the inspection. I'm not going to put the doorway picture in the report because I'm not going to give you a 600-page report. The last thing you want to see is, well, the doorway's good. Why is it in here? This is good. Why is it in here? I do not want to burden the client with a novel. I want to give you all the pertinent information in your report for you to make an informed decision.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on that, and then I want to jump back to something you mentioned earlier because they're kind of intertwined. And I know the answer to this because my brother's a home inspector in Pennsylvania. But outside of ethics, outside of all the other being a good person, all the reasons you wouldn't just overlook something for a realtor, what happens to you professionally if you are negligent in your report?
Oh, the lawsuits will start coming in. And lawsuits will start coming in. Again, I don't believe in the shady business. I'm not here to cost a real estate agent their commission or whatever they get paid on. I'm not here to cost them a sale. But please do not ask any home inspector, overlook this. Or, yeah, we know all about it. Don't document it. But that's not somebody you want to do business with. You want to do business with honest people. And I said it before, nobody is going to find 100% of everything in a home. You're not going to find it because it could be, again, behind a chair, behind a dresser. You won't see anything that may be questionable behind there. But if you get caught and a good client, once they get the house, is going to go over your report multiple times. He did say something about this. He did say I should look for that. If you miss something and blatantly miss something, you can expect a lot of lawsuits.
You mean like taking a picture of a roof with a bucket under a leak and saying the roof showed no signs of water damage?
Exactly. Or if you happen to be up in, again, the attic and the insulation's wet. Well, the insulation's wet for one or two reasons: bad ventilation or a roof leak. You must if you better document that in your report with pictures. Because I am a firm believer in pictures, pictures, pictures. Because we could talk for 2 hours and you'll forget what I said 10 minutes later. I have pictures that you get in your report, and you can call me up anytime and say, Bob, over here, did you see this? Was this like this? Give me 1 minute. I go to my files, I pull up the pictures. Yes, it was there. No, it wasn't there. Always document with pictures.
Love it.
So,
And I want to be respectful of your time. So one of the last things I want to touch on is something you brought up earlier in the conversation, which there's huge pluses and minuses to, which is that pre-home inspection for sellers.
okay.
And as a real estate broker, for me, I'm going to tell you why I say there's huge positives and negatives. So on a positive side, if you are a conscientious seller and you're looking to get the best value for your home, and you have every intention of addressing anything major that comes up in that pre-home inspection, it is definitely the way to go. So you know you're selling with confidence. You know that no one can come back and try to knock you down later on the agreed upon price when they do their own inspection.
Right.
But on the negative side, if you're someone who thinks your house is perfect, you're just looking for validation, but there are a lot of issues. That pre-home inspection, for at least your real estate agent, can become a huge liability. Because in New York State, we have what's called the New York Property Disclosure Report, where you as a listing agent need to disclose to the public if there's anything materially wrong with the property that you're aware of. So once it's been documented, I can no longer say, I don't know there's anything wrong with this property. It looks like I walked the house, it looks fine. If you have a report that showed me the roof is leaking, I have to disclose that. And now the seller might find themselves in a situation where they're unhappy with me because I'm not willing to say the roof is fine, and they're not willing to fix the roof.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. What I was saying for pre-listing inspection is the real estate agent does not have to get involved with that. The pre-inspection agreement, the pre-inspection would be for the home owners themselves. In other words, they say, okay, we want to list the house. We're looking for X amount of dollars for the home because comps in the area say this is what it's worth. If I get a home inspection and a home inspector comes in and says, oh, the roof is 30 years old. The furnace is 25 years old. But the plumbing, I got a brand new hot water heater. Okay, so the homeowner prior to selling can decide for themselves, do we want to invest the money for a new roof or a new furnace prior to selling so we can basically get our asking price? Or we're expecting that, well, we have to go way above asking price, knowing that the roof is bad and they're going to chew us back down $10,000. So this is more, the pre-listing inspection is more for the homeowner than it is for a real estate agent.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying that. I'm just thinking about myself as a professional. I like to be a part of everything. So I always envision being there. Now, once I see it or hear it, I can't unsee it or unhear it.
Exactly. So that's the event. There's really no disadvantage to a pre-listing inspection. Again,
No,
it's
especially not for the homeowner, because then there's no surprises when the buyer's report comes back and it somewhat mirrors what their inspection said.
Exactly. They could say we were they're not going to disclose, or maybe they would or wouldn't with their inspection, but they could say, our inspector pointed this out to us and their inspector picked up on the same thing. And so you already know ahead of time what you would be in for when it comes to negotiating with the potential buyer.
Amazing. Last thing I want to wrap up on, just in case anyone has a misconception of, oh, well, I don't want to spend all that money to list my house, or if I'm going to buy a house, do I really want to invest, especially in New York, right? I'm going to be very conservative here. Depending where you are, the average home price is about $500,000, give or take, depending on the town, village, or municipality that you're in. But let's call it 500,000.
Right.
Bob, what's the cost of an average home inspection for your normal 2,000 square foot house?
2,000 square foot house, you're in the neighborhood of $400, $450.
Call it 500. As a percentage of the price of the sale, you're talking about 0.001%
Correct.
of the asset that you're buying.
Correct.
In what world does that not make sense, like financially?
Well, it depends on who you're talking to, Matthew. But a home inspection, again, for the $400, $500, $600 payout to a home inspection, you basically know everything that you're getting into before you go to contract. Could save you a lot of money in the end. People who forego home inspections get a big surprise 2 months later when the roof caved in, or it's so cold in the house. Well, there's no insulation in the attic because you didn't have a home inspection done. All these things.
Do you buy a used car without opening the hood up or kicking the tires?
You buy a used car without driving it.
Yeah. Even a brand new car, when it rolls off the tractor or it drives out of the showroom, you're still going to check to make sure it's got everything you paid for.
Exactly, Matt.
It just blows my mind sometimes how people are so short-sighted, and a home is usually the single biggest purchase any person will make in their life.
Yes, and to forego a very simple 2-3 hour home inspection based on the amount of money that you're spending on that home, it is worth it. It is definitely worth it to the potential buyer.
I'm going to spitball, so you don't have to be accurate. Just quickly off the top of your head, just to illustrate for people, and then we're going to wrap this up. If you forego your home inspection, turns out your boiler's bad, your furnace is bad, what's roughly the cost of that new furnace?
All right, furnace can be anywhere between $8,000 and $10,000.
Roof?
Roof, $15,000.
Water heater?
Oh, water heater, at least $2,000 minimum.
Bad an electrical panel that need a rewire.
Oh, I'm gonna say you're starting at $8,000.
So if anyone still thinks $450, $500 sounds like a lot of money, buy something with any of those things broken.
But buy a house with an electrical panel that's 30 years old and not having an inspection done. Costly.
Yep. And you will kick yourself forever, because that's only the tip of the iceberg. Yes. Once you start opening up walls and finding other problems to do the rewiring, you may not have known about the other stuff up front because the home inspection is non-invasive, but you would have at least known enough to say, I'm going to be into this for at least another $8,000. Do I still want to move forward?
At least.
Love it. Bob, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, if they're looking to do a home inspection, either as a buyer or a seller, what outside of reaching out to me, leaving a note in the podcast, what is the best way for them to contact you?
My website, I will give you my email address. That would be the easiest. It is netimehome.com, the letter N, the letter E, time, home @outlook.com. You can go to my website, www.netimehome.org. My phone number is 631-314-8621.
Bob, thank you so much. Even though you and I have worked together for years, each time we have a conversation, I feel like I walk away learning something new. So I greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to be here today for our listeners. I encourage anyone that's listening who is on the fence or just wants to dig a little deeper on something that we spoke about, reach out to Bob, reach out to me, Matt, M-A-T-T, at timeawaygroup.com. I'm happy to point you to Bob, connect you guys, and just make sure that you are doing your due diligence before buying the biggest purchase of your life. Bob, thank you again so much for being here on the New York Only podcast.
Matthew, thank you very much.
It has been my pleasure.